Welcome to the woods. After about 1,000,000 years. Well, it feels like I've been gone for a long time, and in fact I haven't. Let me start by saying thank you. Thank you to everyone who sent well wishes. Get well soon. It was touch and go for a while there. It had me worried. And worrying's not something I'm used to. I'm usually quite a positive guy. But ill health to the scale where you have to be hospitalised is a wake-up call. A wake-up call to some aspects of my life that need to change. And we'll get on to some of that. Firstly, though, what a joy. Blue skies. The birds are singing. The sun is shining. And spring is approaching fast. It's a time of rebirth. It's a time of new beginnings. And I kind of feel like Lazarus back from the dead. For the Christians out there, you'll remember that story. So I'm about 2 months behind my life. Ill health took its toll. I ended up with double pneumonia, which will lay you out, and it laid me right out. Combined with that, I ended up with type A flu, and I've never been one to think that the flu was even mildly serious, and it never has been through my life. Unfortunately, last year I was diagnosed with an immune disorder, which meant I was on a huge dose of steroids, which wiped out my immune system, which cured one thing, but left me in a position where I had no immune system to fight the flu or pneumonia or just about anything else. So what would have usually been a couple of weeks turned into a couple of months, and turned into a situation that was quite serious. However, the good news with that is that after probably around 1,000 tests for just about every organ I've got inside my body, with numerous ECGs, heart scans, chest x-rays, there's no underlying issues, which is remarkable when I consider the way I've caned existence for as long as I can remember. But it does mean I'm going to make some changes. And rightly so. That said, cheers for the well wishes. I'm back on the mend. It's going to be another couple of weeks before I kick the pneumonia completely. But I feel 1,000 times better than I did last week when I was laid up in the hospital. It did give me some time to peruse what's going on in the world. And I've got to be honest with you. Excuse my language, but I'm getting to the point where I don't really give a fuck. Trump and Zelensky, what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in the Ukraine, our own insane Prime Minister. And all of these things are, I get it, right? They're incredibly interesting, and you can waste hours watching people talk about them, and you can waste days listening to people talk about them, and you could waste weeks, months, and absolutely years listening to people talk about them, and you can form your opinion and think, oh, isn't it awful? Isn't it incredible how people can be so stupid? And yet, sitting there listening, as interesting as it is, does nothing, changes nothing. And I don't know who you're listening to online, what channels you're watching on a regular basis. And everyone's got their take, haven't they? Everyone's got their hot take on the latest thing, on what's going on. And we get sucked in. So easy. So interesting. And nothing changes. Me sitting there listening to the Lotus Eaters, or Academic Agent, or Morgoth, listening to them give me their opinion on what's happening on that global stage, does nothing. And I started to think, well, what are these people doing? What's their objective? And you'll hear time and time again that they're moving the Overton window. Yeah. Are they? Are they really? Does that Overton window move in the direction we want, or does it just go where the system wants it to go anyway? And we sit here in this beautiful country that we inhabit, and we look across the water to mainland Europe, and we see the AFD in Germany, and we see Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, and we see the National Rally in France, and we see Meloni in Italy, and we see all of these movements and all of these political organisations, and they're all moving to the right, apparently. And there's aspects of the AFD who are talking about remigration, and Geert Wilders is talking about remigration, and Sweden is suddenly waking up and talking about remigration, and parts of the National Rally in France are talking about remigration, and here we are in the UK and we've got reform. And it's difficult to speak about that political entity without laughing, because they won't talk about remigration. Farage has already come out point blank and said that the remigration's off the cards. That he, as far as he's concerned, is quite happy knowing that this country will completely change, that the demographics will continue to move in a certain direction. There'll be less English, less Welsh, less Scottish, less Irish, more people from other corners of the globe. And he's quite happy with that. And that's our right-wing party in Parliament, the ones people were happy that got there. just another cog in a system designed to never let us move forward. And for those of you who have followed this channel for a while, you'll know that continually I have said that there isn't a political answer to this. And by that I've pointed out numerous times, I mean there's no party political route for us to change things for the better. The system we are constrained within is designed. It's designed to ensure that the system itself never changes. It will not allow anything anywhere near it if there's a possibility it will change the system. Unless, of course, the system wished to change itself, which is a possibility, but it's not going to be in our favour. We are inconsequential. Wake up. I don't want to anger people. I don't want to piss people off by pointing this out. I gave a speech at a PA conference late last year. 20 minutes. 20 minutes to a room full of patriotic nationalists who desperately want things to change for the better. And I pointed out that for the last 100 years, every single political party, organisation, pressure group, you name it, and there have been hundreds, every single one has failed in their objective. Since the 1930s, every single group has failed. And yet we continue with the dead horse theory, don't we? We're sat on a dead horse, and instead of recognising that fact and discarding that horse and looking for another mode of transport, we rephrase the term dead. We buy a new saddle. Buy a new saddle for the dead horse. That might help. We hire better trainers. Better trainers, that'll be good. Maybe they can train the dead horse. We'll try a different feed. Maybe that'll work. We'll try everything. Apart from admit the horse is dead. It's not going to move. It doesn't work. This horse is deceased. And sometimes, you just got to stop smashing your face into a brick wall. So please, I understand. I've been there. I was part of smaller political parties for most of my life because I desperately wanted it to work, because I understood that what they were fighting for, what they were pushing forward for, was the right thing. It was the way forward. But that's inconsequential when it doesn't work. There comes a point where you have to say, this isn't working. And the system loves it. It loves the fact that you can start a small political party, you can stomp your feet, shout and wave your fist, and you can waste, I don't know, 2 decades of your life achieving nothing. And this is when people get angry. But it's not achieving nothing, they'll say. At least we're doing something. But what you're doing is going to make no difference. What you're doing will just waste your time. And more importantly, more frustratingly, is that there will be thousands of people who desperately want things to change, who will follow. They will get involved. They will hope that the general public will suddenly wake up, realise the danger, vote for this small party. They will sweep to power and we can enact change. And when you're in that environment, when that's what you hear, that it's possible, that it might take time, but we just keep pushing forward, it becomes a lifestyle. You'll build friendships with people in that group. It'll become your life. It'll become who you are. It'll become what you do. And then it becomes even harder to wake up to the reality that what you're doing is going to make no difference. None. And all the while, whatever that system and whoever is operating that system, whatever they want, that's what happens. It just trundles forward. We need to start again, people. We need to understand that the old ways didn't work. You can't point to anything that lasted. There's nothing there. We need to secure a future worth living for ourselves, our families, our children, our grandchildren. We need to stop wasting time. And it's so easy, isn't it? It's so easy just to consume content from creators who are giving you interesting hot takes. I get it. But it won't change anything. We need to secure that future. We need to secure a possibility that the people and our culture can survive into the future. Because at the moment, if we do nothing different, demographics say we're outbred. And what's happening to our culture is that it is changing daily. It's being eradicated completely and utterly and replaced with a mishmash of cultures and ideologies that aren't ours. We created, to me, what is undoubtedly the greatest nation that has ever been. Everything about this country that we created is incredible. We had such a beautiful nation, such a high trust nation, and that's gone. And there's 100 different reasons. Some of them our fault, but a lot of it has to do with the changing of the population. And the more you add something else, the weaker it becomes. It becomes diluted. So we do need to secure a future. And there are ways of doing that. I recently spoke at an international conference. Speakers from South Africa, speakers from Germany, speakers from America, speakers from Sweden, from across Europe. And the subject was intentional communities. And how these things start small and they grow and grow and they encourage others. But more importantly, let me tell you the small story of Orania and a little back history. So Orania is a Dutch settlement in South Africa for the ethnic Afrikaners, the Dutch in South Africa. And they set up their own town. And they did this to preserve their culture. And they decided that if a house needed building, they would build it. No outside help. That if a business needed to be created, they would create it. That if they needed recycling and plants, they would build them. They needed a farm, they'd build it. They'd man it. They'd till the soil. They'd tend the livestock. No outside assistance. No outside workforce. They'd do it themselves. And they did this because they wanted to retain their culture, their way of life. And they understood that if they brought in thousands of migrant workers, which would have been very, very cost effective, they would have ended up a diluted nation, a diluted people. So they just decided, we'll do it ourselves. So did it work? Well, it's grown and grown and grown. And now that small town in South Africa is giving advice to the government of South Africa on how to run infrastructure, because they've got businesses and corporations and infrastructure that works, and the government's not quite sure how to implement that throughout their country. So they're taking advice from the people who can do it. So it's been a success. And that town has zero crime. No crime. The shop leaves the door open in the evening. Or the shops. If you want something, you can go in and pick up what you need, leave the money in a tin. That is the society we should be aiming for. That's the correct way to be living. So, open your mind just for a little while. Imagine you all know that I started the Woodlander initiative in order to buy land throughout this country. Land's the key. Land is the beginning. Now with that land there's thousands of things we can do, but I want you to just come on a little journey with me. Just for a moment, suspend disbelief. Imagine 100 acres of this beautiful country that we own. Now imagine that we built a village on that land, that we built the houses together with the skills that our people have, that we buy the lumber, we saw it, we build it, and everyone chips in where they can. And you end up with a situation where you've got a beautiful landscaped village. And on the outskirts of that village is a farm that is owned by the people in that village. And that farm provides food for the people in that village. And the businesses in that village provide the services and products that are needed by the people in the village. And you don't have to lock your door because you know everybody in that village. And your children can play outside unsupervised because there's always someone keeping an eye out. You don't have to take your keys out your car. And everyone thinks like you. Everyone just wants the best. And if someone's down on their luck, we all chip in and we help. That's who we are. That's what's been taken away. And that's what we need to get back. So you might not be able to influence Trump and Zelensky having a pissy fit for the cameras. And you might not be able to influence Keir Starmer's raging left-wing ideology and warmongering attitude. But there's an opportunity here for everyone to get involved, for everyone to put in a little piece and build something bigger than you, bigger than me, and bigger even than all of us put together. And in 100 years, your great grandkids can look at that village, or the village after that, or the village after that, or the town. Because there is a possibility of doing something that lasts, of doing something good, of getting involved in something that is worthwhile, that has an end goal, that is achievable, and that will secure a future for your children, for your grandchildren, and for their kids. And just like anything, it's going to require effort and time, but at least it's not pointless. And we can achieve goals along the way that will still be here in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 to 100 years' time. The first land we bought in Wales will still be ours in 100 years. And no, building that village isn't on the cards this week, this year. But I can promise you, it will happen. It will happen because we will will it into existence. And that's not just idle talk. Yes, I'm talking to solicitors on a weekly basis. Yes, it fries my brains. But there are ways. There are ways forward. There is a possibility to secure a future for our people and our culture without asking for permission, without diving into the sewer of politics. We just build it. And there are other ways of doing it too that we need to look at. The Free Sweden movement. What a great idea. They started off by buying the pub and a conference centre, and then they bought a business, then they bought some homes, then they bought some flats, then they rented out those flats to members of their organisation, and now they own the village. There's a whole new way forward opening up to us. Don't ignore it. Don't stay sat on the dead horse. And I understand that that party political route has been the one we've always followed. That's the way to change things. But it's never worked before. And I can't see that it's going to work now. So I'll continue to watch content, because it's interesting, but at the same time, got to push forward with something that works, something that will offer change, something that will provide something for our future, for us right now, for our kids. And don't think that that doesn't happen. It does happen. We've got people's kids now thinking about, wow, maybe this is an alternative way. If I can't get on the housing ladder, maybe I can get my own piece of land. Maybe it starts with just access to that land. And then maybe if I save, I can buy my own piece of land. And then what can I do? Let's see, should we? Get involved, people. I'll put the link to the Woodlander initiative below this. I'm 2 months behind where I should be, so I apologise. But I'm feeling pretty good. Couple of weeks I should be back to 100%. And this year I'm going full bore on this. For those of you that made it to the end of this video, I'm going to need a team of people this year. I'm going to need people to help with admin. I've got a good team of people that run social media, but I'm going to need more. We need to look at rolling this out and getting people involved. And we need to start buying more land. We've got some money put aside. We're ready to go. Give it a couple of weeks. Let me get back on my feet 100%. I'll speak to you soon. There you go. I'll speak to you soon. Take it easy. Thank you for listening to this. Do me a favour. Leave a comment. Hit like. Do the usual thing. Share the video. Share it around if you can. Cheers, guys. It's good to be alive. And I'll speak to you soon. See ya.